Istanbul, Turkey. The largest city was hit by a powerful storm on a Monday, caused widespread destruction in the city of 16 million. The storm, which brought heavy rain and strong winds, caused flooding in several neighborhoods, disrupting public transportation and cut off power to parts of the city. Local authority urged residents to stay at home and avoid unnecessary travel while emergency service work to eliminate consequences of the disaster. The storm, which meteorologists have been warning around the several days, hit Istanbul early on the morning. The city was immediately hit by intense rainfall, caused flash floods and inundated streets, homes and businesses. Video posted on social media showed cars submerged in water and pedestrian water throughout the flooded streets. In some areas, the water level rose by more than a meter, leaving many cars unstranded. Strong winds also wreaked havoc, knocked down trees and damaged buildings. Winds up to 100 km/h tear down power lines, caused blackouts in several areas. The Bosphorus Strait, landmarks for Istanbul, was also affected, where the ferry service suspended due to dangerous conditions. Public transportation was severely affected, with significant delays and cancellation reported in the city's subway and buses. Istanbul New Airport, one of the largest in the world, experienced significant delays where flights and cancelled due to bad weather conditions. Passengers at the airport were advised to pause and the storm subsided to disport service. City officials said emergency crew were working around the clock to clear floodwaters and restore normal service, but warned the situation could remain critical in several hours. Many schools and affected areas were closed to precautionary measures, and local businesses were also advised to preliminary cause operations. Authority also warning to the possibility of further flooding, especially in low-lying coastal areas. Residents in Istanbul were advised to closely monitor weather forecasts to take precautions if necessary. Although no casualties have been reported so far, the full extent of the damage caused by the storm remains unclear. The latest storm comes increasingly erratic weather in Turkey in recent years, which many experts attributed the growing impact of climate change. The severe storm that hit Istanbul on a Monday left the city scrambling to deal with the aftermath, exposing vulnerabilities in the city infrastructure and sparking the new debate about the will Turkey's largest metropolis in period of extreme weather events. As the flood waters began to recede, the extent of the damage became more apparent. Several key routes remained impossible due to weather damage, and metro stations across the city and temporarily closed due to flooding. In the residential area, many buildings were flooded, and citizens forced problem to rescue belongings from the flood basements and ground floor apartments. Istanbul governor announced the allocation of emergency funds support the most affected. The storm also highlighted Istanbul ongoing struggle with a rapid organization and incredible drainage system. Despite being one of the most densely populated city in Europe, Istanbul infrastructure often fails to keep up with the growing population. Experts have long warned that the city's drainage system is outdated. They cannot cope with the weather events are becoming more frequently intensified due to climate change. Many areas of city, especially those in older buildings, to less developing infrastructure and more prone to flooding. And Monday's storm once again demonstrated to need the significant investments in the disaster resilience issue. Local environmental groups have expressed in concept that pure urban planning, including the expansion of the concept surface, the loose and green space, has exacerbated the city of vulnerability to flooding. They agree that planning the natural drainage area has made the harder the work to second the ground, leading to faster and more severe flooding during storm. They added the damage of infrastructure. The storm severely disturbed daily life in Istanbul. Dozens of flights were delayed or cancelled in Istanbul airport, and a long line formed. The passengers tried to reschedule in the travel plans. Authorities are attempted to divert acid traffic from the flooded highways, but this has led to significant congestions throughout the city. Residents expressing frustration to lock to clear communication, irrigation, transportation safety issues during this storm. Turkey's State Meteorological Service has issued new warning predicting that true weather continue in the coming days. Heavy rain and strong winds are expected to continue, and authorities are on a high alert in more storm. Rapid response team equipment with the pumps to rescue boats continue to walk across Istanbul to help those in need. Despite the chaos, the Turkish government has assured citizens that the situation is under control. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan expressing the solidarity with the people in Istanbul, saying all necessary measures taken to prevent further destruction. He also emphasized the need to long-term situation to address climate change, which has made Turkey increasingly vulnerable to extreme weather events such as flood, heat wave, and droughts. This is not the first time Istanbul has faced such weather disaster. In the recent years, the city has experienced more severe storm, often accompanied by flash flood, causing significant damage and loss of life. Many points of city rapid, often uncontrolled development, a major contributing factor. managing the infrastructure has not kept with the growing risks. Monday's storm has once again demonstrated the city's vulnerability to extreme weather events, and experts are calling to comprehensive review of Istanbul infrastructure planning strategies disaster preparedness. As a disaster began a cleanup of the aftermath of the storm, calls on action and being more. Citizen and environmental organizations are calling to local and national authority to prioritize sustainable urban development and climate change adaptation issue, while the immediate priority remains the response to hurricane aftermath of the restore service to long-term questions to Istanbul can better protect itself in the future. Storms can become more present than ever before. For now, the city waiting on meteorologists monitoring the sky for signs and the future, and the disaster relief efforts continue apace. As Istanbul begins to pick up the pieces after Monday's devastation storm, the focus has shifted from the immediate response to the border challenges ahead. The city of vital economic center and border to Europe and Asia has been by the storm and increasing severity in the recent years, to clear signs and growing impact the climate change on Turkey and the region as well. The most recent storm, while not unprecedented in its intensity, has intensified calls and the resilience to Istanbul infrastructure and emergency preparedness in the light of growing climate risks. Recovery efforts are underway across Istanbul, while temps and municipal workers, emergency service are volunteers working around the clock to remove debris, divert floodwaters, and restore vital service. However, the many residents in process to return to normal will take time. In several parts of the city, homes and businesses remain flooded. In some areas, still lack electricity and clean up water. Istanbul Mayor visit the affected areas to assure residents that the city were doing everything possible to provide assistance, although they are knocked down it. The scale of the damage was draining resources. Climate change is no longer a distant threat. It's clear they affected our city, said in the statement. We must act now to protect Istanbul for the future disaster, and this requires both immediate action and long-term planning. The cost of the storm damage is still being assessed, but preliminary estimates suggest it could be in the hundreds of millions of liras. Businesses in the central Istanbul, especially in areas such as the Kenda, have been hard hit in the flood. In the spokesman, they reported significant losers. The number of insurance claims expected an increase of residents and businesses owners seek compensation of flood damage, although is not all the covered and exceeded policies. The storm also raised discussion about the urgent need in investment, the climate resilience, urban planning, and environmental. Noted that Istanbul, like more other larger cities, is becoming increasingly vulnerable. Extreme weather events are becoming more frequent due to global warming. This extent of the publishing for the comprehensive modernization of the city infrastructure, including improved stormwater system, better flood protection, and sticking building code on the taking the action future climate risks. One of the most pressing problems highlighting the hurricane and the Istanbul drainage system, which undoubtedly to cope with a huge amount of rainfall. Experts note the city's stormwater infrastructure is outdated, does not meet the extreme weather conditions are being experienced now. Despite the fact new construction have appeared in the city in the recent years, the city growth rate approaching the expansion of critical infrastructure, making large the areas in the city vulnerable of flooding. Urbanization itself are contributed to this problem. Over the past 2 decades, Istanbul are undergoing the rapid transformation. Vast areas and farmland, forests, and wasteland have been replacing the constant the IPLA. That has drastically reduced the city's natural ability with the absorb rainwater, increasing the risk of flooding. Environmental have long warned the consequences, and uncontrolled development pointed to loose and green space to could help mitigate the effect of the storm. The storm also raising concerns about the city preparedness for the future weather event. Although Istanbul have an emergency management system in place, critical in the storm response have been hampered the lack of coordination and clear communication. Many residents reported the city received warning before the storm, leaving the confused and a panic of water rose. In response of the city disaster response team promised to improve early warning system, urged more sophisticated by the monitoring tools to provide real-time updates to monitor the city residents. As Istanbul faces the long road recovery in the clear of the storm, received a wake-up call. The climate change led to more and more extensive weather conditions around the world. Istanbul leadership is under pressure a discussion action. Local officials along the national policymakers are currently weighing the number of proposals the protecting the city from Istanbul changing disaster. This includes increasing investment, green infrastructure, improving emergency service, and introducing strict urban planning rules for a prioritized sustainable development.